I'm Brian Foster, and this is the Grindhouse Institute. On each episode of this podcast, Jeremy Floyd and I program a double or triple feature movie night. Each of the movies share common themes and we discuss them here. We're happy you could join us for today's episode we call Social Horror. Our society is our understanding of, and tacit agreement with, a group of people, all who function and live together as a community. It's all that stuff that makes up the tapestry of our day-to-day lives. We all stand in line at the post office. We get in the right lane to turn right. Prices go up and quality goes down. All the little spoken and unspoken Seinfeld-esque rules that we more or less abide by. In today's show, we open wide, real wide, and take a sloppy, squishy, wet look at the stuff on the inside of society. The types of inner workings that are hidden or masked from our daily lives. And of course, because it's Shocktoberfest, we are taking that look through the lens of horror films. A rival junk food conglomerate is determined to uncover the secret recipe behind their competitor's latest and addictive food product known as the stuff. To accomplish this covert mission, they enlist the services of an industrial saboteur who always seems to want mo. As the investigation unfolds, it only raises more questions. What is the stuff? Where does it come from? And why can't anyone get enough? Michael Moriarty, Andrea Marcovici, Garrett Morris, Paul Sorvino, and Danny Aiello get to the bottom of it in Larry Cohen's 1985 classic, The Stuff. Bill Whitney is starting to question his sanity. He's seeing all kinds of things in ways that no one else in Beverly Hills High School seems to see, and his world only gets weirder when he is given an audio recording of his family's involvement in society. Is it mere paranoia, or is everyone around him entangled in a bizarre and deranged sexual cult? And what the hell is a shunt? Billy Warlock, Concheta Dagnese, and Ben Slack find out in Brian Usna's Society from 1989. A young pizza delivery driver takes a long drive out to a rich neighborhood with a huge stack of pies in the hopes of finally making a good tip. However, her evening takes a harrowing turn as she becomes ensnared in a literal night from hell, consisting of Satanism, dismemberment, ritual sacrifice, feminist rapists, strap-on kildos, and literally zero tips. Will she survive the night or become the vessel for a demon? Rebecca Romijn, Arden Mirren, and Haley Griffith star in Chelsea Stardust 2019 comedy horror romp, Satanic Panic. Thank you for listening to the Grindhouse Institute. Please enjoy.
Do you have any idea what's happening here tonight?
Well, I work in a field that pays $2.13 an hour, and my income is mostly based off tips, but everyone in there got pissed off when I asked for one.
Okay, well, none of those people are going to tip you because they're too busy worshiping Satan. And they're probably going to kill us tonight. Well, they're definitely killing me. They're probably going to kill you. I don't know.
Oh, you must think I'm a lot younger than I look. I mean, Carl, my neighbor, he's a Satanist and he's a vegan.
I apologize on the scheduling thing. It's been insane because I was trying to get this short film going, and then
Cool.
that was all like fucking backlogged. And
So, Brian, for your information, Aaron is good friends with Adam Maffei, and I think you guys were working on that together. Is that right?
yeah, Adam was producing it for us.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like Adam. He's great.
Adam's the best. I love Adam.
Yeah.
Such a nice guy.
He's
But
funny.
yeah, so we had to push. And so I was relieved of a whole thing. So that's why I was like, all of a sudden I was like, okay, hey, what's going on? What is this, Sunday? Yeah, let's do it.
You also have more time on your hands?
Yeah, it's so crazy because like I was prepping all of that, and then like I leave to go on this vacation to Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, man.
What's happening in Salem?
So Salem, Massachusetts, every October does this like month-long party.
Yeah.
And so we're going there to just spend a week there to just like chill out, partied up, and like love and celebrate Halloween and
Yeah.
go see all
That's
the historic stuff. And there's an old hotel, like a historic hotel right on the wharf there called the Hawthorne Hotel. And
it's got to be haunted for sure.
oh, 1000%. Yeah.
Has to be.
So, so they have like a Halloween ball that they do every year, and it's like famous. It sells out, like tickets for it sell out within like a couple minutes. So,
no, Mr. Sauerland, you are the caretaker.
Yeah.
You've always been the caretaker.
You've always been here. Exactly.
As long as some dude in a dog costume isn't giving the blowjob to another guy, you should be okay. Yeah. No, actually, that sounds pretty fun. I got a cat costume.
Is anybody, is this open? You got the door open, so.
Who needs a werewolf?
Yeah.
I do love the smell of the hunt and the taste of the shunt.
Oh, don't be a fascist, gypsy. We didn't sell our souls so we could clomp around outdoors like a bunch of goddamn hippies.
Fascists get things done.
When you talk to the FBI, would you tell them this for me?
Oh! Broke his jaw.
Thanks for the job, gentlemen.
What's going on? Didn't you know, Billy Boy? The rich have always sucked off low-class shit like you.
Welcome back to the Grindhouse Institute. I'm Brian, screaming mad George Foster, and with me as always is Jeremy Floyd. Hello, how are you, and how do you like your tea?
I like my tea like I like my stuff, where enough is never enough.
You don't want me to pee in it?
Don't pee in it, please. Because I'm trying to make a contribution to society here, okay?
I think we covered every movie there.
I did like that tea line, by the way. I wrote that one down.
I mean, come on. That was ridiculous. We'll get into it. Today we're on the Grindhouse. We're talking society horror films with three really fun films. With us is a special guest. Jeremy, if you could please do the introduction.
Yeah. So we're deep in our little Shocktoberfest here, and we've got three more fantastic horror movies to dig into. And I thought, who better than to bring on script supervisor, screenwriter, and podcaster, not to mention a huge horror nerd, Aaron Sauerland. Welcome, man.
Hey, guys. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Huge horror nerd. Could you explain your love of horror a little bit?
Oh, my God. That's like...
Yeah. How much time you got, Brian? Hang on.
Yeah. Explain how you breathe. Like... But yeah, I don't know, man. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in like surrounded by cornfields and stuff. So
So did everyone else on this show.
So did we.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. So then you know it. Like it's just kind of the fall season rolls around and it's just a part of your life and a huge part of who you are.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Haddonfield, the real Haddonfield. You know, not the one that happened in California.
Yeah. Are you from Illinois?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So am I.
Nice. All right. See?
My God, that's crazy. So you know exactly what I mean then, though. Like
the change of seasons is an important thing, and I think that's no more accentuated by, you know, the horror that comes around at that time or the spooky things. Even commercials and shit like that is just really fun when everything makes that shift. And and it's great. I mean, you don't really get that seasonality out here in California like we did at one time in Chicago or Illinois, but it's still pretty fun to celebrate, and that's why we do Shocktoberfest. And glad we could talk horror with you, especially these ones. We should probably tell them what they are.
Go for it.
We're doing The Stuff from 85.
Yep.
Society from, 89, 92. I think there's two releases in that one, right?
Yeah. I 89 was the one I had, but I guess was it not like fully released until...
I think there was an international or a London release, and then it came here in the early 90s.
Wow.
Yeah, it took him 3 years.
And then it seems like one of those weird movies that makes sense that it would be hard to bring over here. And then we're talking Satanic Panic, which was 2016?
2019.
2019, okay. But they all go really well together. I think these are fun. Should we start in order, or how do you guys want to start? Because we could just kind of delve into the...
Let's do it. I mean, you know, I think with so we have two movies sort of made in the 80s, and the horrifying lens through which like they were interpreting the society around them or whatever, I think kind of plays into how all these movies were actually made. The ones in the 80s in particular were reacting to that period of time. I think Satanic Panic is almost the exact same thing, but you know, maybe using the sort of financial crisis 2008 and the aftermath of that, the sort of birth of our good friend the gig economy. I mean, all that stuff kind of like plays into the way that Satanic Panic is built. But what's great is like, so all these movies, to me at least, like kind of really give a lens with which to view society, but you know, and all of them are kind of like satires in their own way.
Absolutely.
And they also kind of give you that stomach-turning horror that one should be seeing on the news, but you know, is like masked in so many different ways. This one rips that mask right off and shows you the undulating, disgusting guts and shunting and all the other things in there.
Shunting.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed, I had read an article a little while back talking about horror films of the 80s and the like kind of rise of body horror in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And it related a lot of it back to the AIDS epidemic and how the government was like propagating this fear of our own bodies and your body turning against you and so on. And so I think that's really interesting because you see that in both the 80s movies. Sure. And so I think that's interesting because like you're saying, it's reflecting our societies here. But like with Satanic Panic, because it's a modern one, there's less of that body horror element.
Yeah, the gore happens from outside in as opposed from inside out in Satanic Panic.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of like stuff coming out of the mouth in Satanic Panic, I guess.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
Oh, they have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is more traditional, like we're just going to cut you open and spread your guts all over the floor through I guess the poison and all that. Is that what you're saying? Like
or unless you like... Remember before she sealed her skin, there was like puking all this crap and like hair and needles and whatever.
That was really fun. There was some fun stuff in that movie.
Yeah, the needles. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I obviously it feels like, you know, Chelsea Stardust, and then I guess, you know, the writers Grady Hendrix and Ted. Oh man, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I think it's Guillen. Like
okay, right on.
Like Coogan.
You know that they've obviously ingested a lot of different horror movies. I think, you know, the stuff in the Society
feels very Society, right?
In this one, but also the stuff with like all the junk coming out of the mouth the way it did in the stuff. You know what I mean?
But
That's
nothing
true.
will ever
Yeah.
stand up to the stuff at the end when that guy's mouth opens up fully and you just
man.
Some of the greatest practical cheese effects ever. You know,
Chocolate Chip Charlie, dude.
Chocolate Chip Charlie, baby.
Speaking of the end of Chocolate Chip Charlie's husk there, like
his husk, exactly.
There were like, you know, there were like 4 stages of his head opening, you know, up 180 degrees or whatever, and like and at one point one of the stages, like his mouth had this like spackling on the inside, like it looked like the floor of a garage. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Exactly.
What's so crazy is like that effect like has so many stages to it.
Yeah.
Like it's the live actor interacting with her. Then it's the live actor, and it looks like it's a prosthetic just on his neck
with the
bladders.
bulging.
Like the frog ribbit bladder thing.
They cut to her and back to that one a couple times, which kind of like sets you in to be like, okay, like that's gonna be the effect. So then when it like comes into the puppet work, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, super jarring. I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Like it's awesome, but like, damn, it is crazy. Like,
This movie was definitely made both in the edit and with Michael Moriarty. His performance.
Michael Moriarty, oh my god!
I think Mo is a fantastic character, and I don't think this movie would have been what it is without him and his. He's just so
Mo
good.
was so great. He reminded me of like a Ross Thomas character, just like someone who's, you know, has an insane nickname and is like, you know, always like talking a mile a minute and just like operating and vibrating on another level than anyone else there.
2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone, but was always underestimated, you know, probably due to the, you know, that slow drawl he's got when he's talking.
Right.
But he had these guys bugged from the beginning before they even hired him. He already knew exactly what they were saying on the way there. Like, so good. They set him up great.
Michael Moriarty, he's crazy. He I don't know if you've ever seen any of his other stuff before, but like
Q, and he's been in some TV stuff, right? Like,
I was gonna say Q. Like, oh my god,
he's great in that too.
Bizarre performance, and like he's like a Jeffrey Combs, like he's a character actor that I every time he's on screen he's doing something weird, and it's almost Nick Cage also in a sense where it's always entertaining. Like you don't know what he's gonna do, but like he'll give it 100. So
because I always want Mo.
David Rutherford?
Mo. My friends call me Mo. They call me Mo because every time they give me something, I always want Mo.
Yeah, it's like not his name at all.
No,
it's just like
he's not Morris or like Morgan. He's just Mo.
He was great, and also like just sort of structurally speaking, like I love how his character like got into the sort of highest echelons of this like corporate cartel or whatever.
He's a saboteur,
and then toward the end like uses it against them, like kind of whipsaws them, but like. Now I'm not remembering what was the thing. So like, obviously he was just in it for the money and doing whatever they wanted him to do as this bag man to steal the corporate secret. But like at some point he's like, he's like, wait a minute, this is fucked up. What was that point? I don't remember what happened.
Well, they started testing everything, right? So he has these massive teams. Like once all of a sudden you see how he actually operates. Mo has people in every sector.
Oh, right.
And so he can go to this group that are literally testing the molecular structure of whatever the stuff was.
Those are his guys. I thought that was like the cartel's guys.
No. His whole job was that he's a corporate espionage saboteur.
Right. Okay.
So he goes in, finds out what Coca-Cola is for Pepsi, and then goes over to Pepsi and gives them the recipe. But this one they couldn't locate what this thing was, and all of a sudden they're like, this thing's alive. Like, what the hell is this? And they're like, oh, it comes from here? Oh,
it comes from the ground?
Right.
Wait, so you guys don't process this thing at all? No. Right from the ground to your mouth.
We've gotta address the fact that, like, the beginning of the movie starts with a guy...
What, are you eating snow?
He just... scoops it up with his fingers out of the ground and
it's moving. It's bubbling. It's breathing. It looks like it's about to talk to you, and this guy's gonna fucking put it in his mouth.
And he's like in a rock quarry or somewhere, like some mining operation. He's like, what's this?
Like, does he eat everything that comes out of the ground in that quarry? Like,
and maybe that's like the initial test, like, oh, we got oil? I don't know. Nope.
It was great because it perfectly set the tone for what this movie's going to be. It's going to be absurd. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yes.
And if you're like asking those questions, you're in the wrong place,
100%.
For any Rob Cohen picture, I would say is like you got to go into Larry Cohen. You got to go in and be like, listen, this is going to be just a satirical look at what's going on currently.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, Larry Cohen calls this film, quote, dense and very sophisticated. And so
he's talking about the actual sludge of the stuff.
Yeah. Making the stuff was dense and sophisticated.
Didn't he nail like the whole like branding and the colors and all the aspects? Because you'll go into one scene when they're shooting the commercials and that neon brown, pink, and yellow was like the weird colors that they put together.
It was like white, purple, and brown or something. It was like
that's exactly it.
That weird rainbow, and it was clearly like Coca-Cola. Like they even said at one point, had Coca-Cola next to it. I mean, he was pretty overt of what he was trying to portray there, but I really like that he just drove that in. Like every commercial felt very like overdone, and it was like this one girl that he worked with was the person that made stuff, the PR great thing that it actually was, and she's feeling like, oh my god, what the fuck did I do? As Mo's unraveling all this shit, like you let an alien, virus into your refrigerator, and now the entire population is going to be overtaken by this thing.
We're all fucked.
We're fucked. It's the craziest. It's like we don't even know what's in Coca-Cola. We drink the hell out of it, but I don't know what the hell's in Coke.
That's what's so great about this satire too. It's like there's plenty of stuff vitamins and Monster Energy drink type things, whatever. Like they've all been regulated by Danny Aiello, and it like there's no nothing. Yeah, exactly. But there's all these small examples of like stuff where our things that we ingest are sort of not held to any standard
because it's protected, right? Because there's a recipe that needs to be protected, or the competition can get
you look at the ingredients, it just says flavors or whatever.
Right? Yeah, it's like
What the hell does that mean?
You mean that came from some quarry in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a commentary on capitalism.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. There's this other thing where it's like, because it's like coming from the ground, it's a sort of like, allegory for oil or something. And it's like, maybe it wasn't maybe known in the 80s, but like how much microplastics and shit we've ingested in plastic as an oil product.
Right.
And it's like, he so perfectly captured all those different things and packaged it into a really funny and bizarre movie. It's like, think about how the family very quickly turns on their son or whatever.
On the
and it's
son?
Like, yeah. It's like, well, actually, the very first thing you see is Dad Dewey, like, hits him for getting up in the middle of the night. And he's like, wait, what was he
that
doing?
Was that before he was getting stuffed, or because he went right to the refrigerator and ate it? Were we supposed to think that he was like already being taken, or was he always a
that's
prick?
what I figured later, because I mean, at first I didn't know what the hell was going on. But
He was a
this is the
real
first time I've
asshole.
seen this stuff. Yeah.
This is my 10th time seeing it, and I don't even know. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
The family dynamic reminded me. Have you guys ever seen Troll 2?
Yes. Oh, not 2. Sorry, I thought you were going to say Troll because
Troll's great as well.
That's Michael Moriarty, isn't it?
Yeah, as Harry Potter. But in Troll 2, there's like a scene where like the kid doesn't want the family to eat the food because it's going to turn them into green goop for the trolls.
Yeah, same thing.
And he pisses all over the food.
You can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
And so it really reminds me of like this kid freaking out, like like he's at the store, ripping it all off of the
screwing up the dairy section.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see though how they set that scene up was that they went to the dairy section and the stuff was there. Then they went to an end cap and there was the stuff there. Then they went to like another whole department. It was like the stuff could live anywhere. It didn't need to be refrigerated, didn't need to be hot, didn't need to be warm. It's just you could put it in every part of the store,
Oh my God, I love
the kid
that.
it's so great, And the kid needed to wreck the whole fucking place.
Yeah.
I love the like the sort of like escalation there. Like, he gets in a fight with his family. We cut to a scene with maybe Mo, and then we cut back to the kid. Like, he's like wandering into the grocery store, and like he sees the one kid in the shopping cart like eating the stuff in the store, and he like slaps it out of his hand.
Yeah,
and then he just immediately goes nuts and like is breaking windows and like smashing cups of the stuff.
Yep.
Completely insane.
Because he saw it moving, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that saw it.
He saw it moving in the fridge, and like, and was trying to convince his parents that like, oh, but you don't understand, it was moving, it's alive or whatever. And it's like, you can kind of see the seed of the idea there, which is that maybe like when you see, fur or, growing on food in the fridge or whatever, it's like, there's like, oh yeah, it's alive. Okay. Yeah. There's stuff in there, but,
we eat yogurt all the time. It's made of cultured bacteria.
Yeah.
It's alive.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is
the
blue
difference?
cheese.
There's yeast in bread you're eating.
Yeah.
That's alive. I thought the kid was good in this movie. I thought, some of the stilted performances were probably because they were just husks, most of the family at one point.
Yeah.
But I thought the kid was really good. I thought that he brought it and stood right up with Michael Moriarty, made it fun.
I'm losing weight and feeling better.
Low in calories, good tasting, and it doesn't even spot. And he doesn't like it.
The kid is so 80s, and which goes with the whole movie. The movie is so 80s. Like, I love the outfits, like, even the city vibes. There's a kid playing, I think the kid plays Atari or something in it.
Right.
And then there's a Where's the Beef reference, which is also, like, tying into the, like, capitalism, commentary.
Commercials, yeah.
Yeah, like, that kid, there's just something about him whenever I see him, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is so 80s.
Yeah.
There's never enough of the stuff, right? That was their slogan, right? Where's the beef?
Enough is never enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had Abe Vigoda in one of the ads there.
Did they really? I didn't even notice that. Oh my God.
It's so cool.
That's amazing.
We're in Andre's exclusive continental restaurant, which caters to only the most discriminating clientele.
How's the food, sweetheart? That's nice.
Where's the stuff?
The stuff is here now. Great new day sensation. Gives you elevation. Enough is never enough. Enough is never enough of the stuff.
I mean, I guess one other quick thing on the stuff. I like. There's something. So this is probably the lowest budget of the three movies that we did. And
I'd say that's confirmed.
It definitely has an extremely low budget charm to it. There's just okay, shots of people out of focus and moments that don't quite cut, or there's just these different things.
Who cares?
And for everyone here, film nerds and whatever else, that can roll off your back. But I imagine trying to show certain people who aren't quite as forgiving, it might be tougher for them. But I think because it's so funny, it would kind of overcome all that.
I think that's part of Michael Moriarty, right? Like, you look past a lot of the stuff. Plus the fact that the movie is a complete movie, right? There's a really cool beginning. It really lands the ending and everything. Kind of, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Well, and it kind of has a cool almost action, spy thriller at the end there,
exactly.
where you're blowing up the quarry.
Exactly. It feels like kind of a James Bond film.
Yeah.
It's great.
B-movie James Bond.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. My only issue is I feel like when you get into the quarry, I feel like it starts to lose its steam a little bit. Like, where the kid's going...
pacing-wise?
Yeah, the kid goes in the tanker, and then they're, driving around, and then they're trying to get him out of the tanker, and then the stuff,
Plus the effects are awful.
Yeah. Right there at the quarry part, I start to dip out. I can feel my attention just going. But then, like you guys said, it picks back up so nicely.
Plus you get the satisfying, epilogue shot of Mo bringing the kid to really exact their revenge on the executives, in the room, and they make him looks like we got a little extra stuff,
And he says are you eating it or is it eating you?
And I think that's on the poster, right? That's the thing.
Oh my God.
It's great.
Well, I love how they have the next generation of the stuff ready to rock and roll.
Ready
taste.
to go. Look,
and
we don't even
there's
need
only 12% stuff in here. It won't harm you.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just very little stuff.
It's how do you know? Did you test it?
Look at the new campaign for the taste.
Certainly 12% of stuff in it, just enough to make the public crave for more.
And the balance is natural dairy products. There won't be enough of the stuff in it to get a grip on anybody's mind, to take over.
Oh, how do you know?
Well, we tested it. We tested it in a small Illinois town.
Well, if you tested it, then you can taste it.
Oh, you go too far.
No. Oh, I also wanted to mention, talking about the special effects and how awesome they are, and then also wonky. But they do the Nightmare on Elm Street gag in the bedroom,
the rotating room,
with the rotating room.
Oh,
and
right.
It's fucking awesome.
They nailed it too, because they had a lot of stuff going on in the foreground, so you really feel like he's actually looking at that thing, and the way that it would climb. The white liquid that they used, whatever that combination of chemistry was, it really worked.
The thick, colorless gack or whatever, it's just the Barbasol or it had.
It's funny that you say that, because the kid eats the Barbasol, right, to fake out the family.
Which seems like it would really fuck him up. Gross.
You guys don't normally eat Barbasol?
You just lick some off when you're shaving,
Yeah.
Mo saved the kid from the stuff, but unfortunately he died from the Barbasol that he ingested earlier. Poor kid.
Yeah. The irony. What a great ending.
Larry Cohen is a genius.
And so is Rob Cohen.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious or whatever.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to mention was Larry Cohen. I didn't know this, but he actually wrote Phone Booth with Colin Farrell.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What the fuck? That is
I know.
Wild, dude. He's 180 from this.
He is legit. He is the full package.
So cool, man. I just had no idea. I love the idea that you can take something that is so campy and so tongue in cheek. But obviously it's still it's still commenting on something. But then I love also that he can go 180 and do something like Phone Booth with Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, talk about a one-location thriller there, huh?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even think about leaving that booth.
Wrong number, pal.
I have a .30 caliber bolt-action 700 with a Hensoldt tactical scope.
You mean like a rifle?
At this range, the exit wound ought to be about the size of a small tangerine.
You're bluffing. Oh, my God. You shot him.
So what do you think? Should we all be parts of society now or contribute to society?
Let's all get together and shunt society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, shunt. The word that's like a verb and a noun.
Awful. Awful word. That's a terrible word. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. Out of all the things they could have said, like, is that the word we really wanted to use?
After the first shunting, we'll have that special treat we've been hearing so much about.
It had an effect.
Oh man, it totally did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Brian Yezda, the director, is Stuart Gordon's producer for everything, and like Reanimator, From Beyond, etc. And so
I feel like it's in the same world.
100%. When I watched this, I thought Stuart Gordon made this. And then it wasn't until like it ended and I started like looking up and I was like, oh, Brian did this. Like, what the fuck? But it makes sense though. It's all in the same vein. And Stuart Gordon, I feel like would use the word like shunt.
The shunt.
He definitely would have a similar ending. This movie has...
Oh my God.
I didn't realize it was such a slow burn to get to that because that's always the famous imagery from this movie is the, the long faces and the shunting or the absorbing of whatever the hell's going on.
All the goo and the...
Yeah, lots of KY jelly on people's backs and whatever the hell else it is.
And it just comes out of nowhere. It's like they're
nowhere.
They're orgying and everyone's normal and dry. And then the next time you see a close up of someone's hand on their back and it's just like covered in jelly.
Oh my God. So, I mean, I think we should talk about that part because it's the most interesting, but I do want to talk about how this kind of felt like a soap opera in many ways, this like melodramatic, slow fades after every scene to go to black, and then we'd start the next scene. It almost felt David Lynchian soap opera-ish and weird.
Yeah. The first half was like if David Lynch were assigned to make like Clueless or something. It's like you it's like, okay...
That's so good. Yeah.
In the script, it says they're in Beverly Hills, and he's got a Jeep or whatever, and it's teens, and
nice Laredo. Yeah, it's a great Jeep. I love that Jeep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a John Hughes film a little bit. Like you got this like high school dynamic. It's just so fucking weird though, because it's like he's dating that girl, and then like on the beach, I don't remember her name was Crystal or something like that. Like. The other girl walks up to him on the beach and like
Clarissa.
I just like don't understand. Like he like has a girlfriend and then she walks up and it's like, has he never seen another girl in a like they're on a beach? Like why?
Well, it's because in the scene before, like she gave him the full Basic Instinct and he was like, whoa.
Oh, that's right. She was the one in the gym. That's
like
right.
The tractor beam or whatever like turned on and
it's so crazy because this predates Basic Instinct.
Yeah,
exactly.
Have you ever fucked on cocaine, Nick?
Now you can go around and tell all your friends that Basic Instinct was copying Society.
Yeah. Totally.
Society was a real pioneer when it came to crotch shots.
Crotch shots, the power of the crotch.
Yeah, and he really did get sucked in by that, right? Like there was like that moment where he couldn't even give his debate speech against the rich kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we should have a dress code, I guess. And I think we should follow it in the most possible strict we possibly can.
So what was this? It was an organism that's been living here and has kind of been living in parallel alongside the lower class of people, and it's just keeps breeding and becoming rich people and the elite.
It has to feed off the lower classes. I think what they said too.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what the shunting is, right? They absorb whatever is. They literally absorb another class off the planet.
Yeah. That's the thing I couldn't understand was like, what exactly does society do with people? Like, when we first hear the tape recording, I was thinking like, oh, okay, they're like wearing their skin because they talk about something about like being inside and doesn't it feel so good in here? And so I was like, oh, okay, cool.
And
like this is, it's all wet. And so like I was thinking like, okay, this is like some Invasion of the Body Snatchers vibe. Like I was like,
I got that vibe
cool.
too. Yeah,
very cool. But then, like, when we finally get to the shunting, they seem to be, like, sucking and fusing with them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's that one scene that's like, I don't even know how they fucking did it, but it's a shot of the guy's ass and the hand like phases through his ass, like into his butt cheeks. Like, I don't even know how they did that.
He built like Jello molds of things that were soft.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Like where he's like his fingers are like dipping into the
dips
cheek.
into his butt cheek.
Right.
Yeah, the way I got it was that this organism was so amorphous or, blob-like that it literally could just phase, like you said, through anything, and they would just literally, like, move through other... Like,
crazy.
Gross.
Yeah.
And the way they displayed it was gross. Like, it was awesome. My sister-in-law was here, and she caught the last half hour of it with me, which was the time that she tuned into the movie. She just kept looking at me like... What the fuck are we watching?
Yeah.
But it's good for at least one viewing.
You're like, no, don't worry. That the first half doesn't explain it at all.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. She's like, did this even lead up to it? I'm like, this did nothing led up to anything. This just happens.
You're like, this is new for me as well, and I'm watching the movie.
I was intrigued as to what was going on the whole time, though. Like, I wanted it.
I'm just joking. There were definitely like hints and stuff. Like he sees his sister's back, like has that little bladder on it, and like was sweaty.
Something wrong?
No, it's just a little damp, is all.
Well, I'm not taking another shower.
And then later, like he's like. In a very weird porno setup, he's like, I need to come into the bathroom to get suntan lotion or whatever, and like, and then he like sees something weird between the frosted glass, and you see like butt and boobs on the same
oh my
side,
God.
and it's like
the best part of the movie.
What is this? Like,
nah, like that's seriously like not even being funny here. Like that shower part is the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it's a great hint, great little teaser. Yeah, I agree.
Because they don't do close-ups or anything. Like, they don't spell it out for you.
Right.
And it's so obscured that, like, it's a full-body shot.
You're like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, your brain has to, like, figure it out because your brain knows, like, what a human body looks like, especially through, like, a frosted glass. So then the fact that your brain's, like, trying to piece it together, like, wait, is that, like, boobs and a butt? Like,
because I think they even did a thing where they like bounced into the frosted glass where it gets a little clearer, so you saw ass crack, and then it was like the face was right there.
Yes.
Why did somebody tell me my ass was so big?
Exactly. It was full on Spaceballs.
Yes. She's ass backwards. It was amazing.
See, I am a butthead.
Oh my God.
Was this the first time you guys had both seen this?
Yeah.
This is my first time.
Oh, this is all three of us then.
All three of us. So this one came recommended from friend of show Sam Kimbrell.
Of course it did. Of course.
He was like, he saw it one day and then like it was like couldn't stop saying shunting. I was like, what are you talking about, you idiot? And then he was like, you need to watch this. Oh man. So shout out to Sam.
The opening of the movie, when it first started, I was so into it. I felt like like when it starts with that like nightmarish dream sequence.
Sure. During the
like,
titles?
Is it during the titles? I don't remember. It's when he's like moving through his house and he like grabs the knife.
Yeah.
And it's very Halloween throwback.
Yep.
Like it's like a POV and he grabs the knife out or whatever.
Yeah. You know what's funny? He goes to the kitchen sink with the knife and he's holding it in a very weird way, like holding the blade.
The blade, yes.
And I thought he was gonna like, jam it in his head and kill himself or something.
Me
it was
too.
a weird like moment. Yeah, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
He like sits down against the wall with the knife like right in front of his head, and I'm like waiting for him to just like stab it into his face. Like I was like, this guy is fucking.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love that whole intro. Is so interesting. I love the Halloween vibe. It really made me think of again like Stuart Gordon. It felt like a Stuart Gordon movie right off the bat. So I was like totally roped in. And then like they set up this whole thing of like he's an unreliable narrator where it's like, oh, he's hallucinating and he's having all like I guess like the kid's like schizophrenic. Like I just don't understand.
He's going to a therapist. He's like in and out of therapy or this guy.
He bites that apple or whatever it was, and like there's just like 1,000 worms coming out of it.
Right.
And, like, I mean, he's constantly seeing things. I mean, I think that's what's kind of cool is like it really slowly turns up the heat on all these different horrific things that he's witnessing, and we're kind of seeing it through his point of view. So it also has this thing where it's like, well, how much of this is actually happening, how
Right.
much of this is David Lynchian, out of his
or
head.
Lovecraftian, right?
Lovecraftian, like madness, exactly. And like we see the apple, we see the like thing on the sister's back, we see the sister, turned inside out. When he's like in bed with Clarissa, there's like, wait, where'd that extra hand come from?
Oh,
and
it's
like,
so weird.
Her leg was the wrong one. He
Yeah.
was like, I thought you were twisted around. And then we cut to him, we cut back, and she looks normal. He's like, oh, that was weird. I thought you were twisted around.
And then she offered him the PT.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you take your tea? Cream, sugar? You want me to pee in it?
How do you like your tea? Cream, sugar, or do you want me to pee in it?
You're a class act, Clarissa.
It's gross.
There's also like a pee on me sex joke in I don't remember where it is, but I remember that there's a pee on me sex joke.
Oh, that's in Satanic Panic, right? Because it's like, I just went to the bathroom. Can I pay you $20 to pee on this guy for me?
Do you have to go? Well, after you pay, I go. I have this guy in here, and he wants me to piss on his face, but I already went. I'll pay you $12. No? True.
That's right. That's what it was.
But yeah, I love the unreliable narrator element. I just, my thing though is like, it's so obvious that the family is fucking weird and the like sister is fucking weird. So like, I didn't ever have a moment where I was like, is it in his mind? Because like everyone's fucking nuts besides him and his best friend.
The perspective of the whole movie is from this guy. So like, we're not really seeing it outside of his, perspective.
That's exactly what I was going to.
That's
This is
true.
his
That's
visual
how
the whole
he's
time,
seeing
right?
them. Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
he sees the slit throat, nerdy guy in the car, and that wasn't real.
He's hearing the thing on the recording when all of a sudden the words were completely different.
Yeah,
right.
It was her coming out party. It wasn't some orgy of, like what you were saying.
Or the like. It was like we start with dinner and then we have the copulation or whatever.
You know the schedule. First we dine, then copulation.
And then we have the copulation.
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to say it differently? We have dinner and then I fuck your sister. I think that's how he pre-put it. Like,
and then we all fucked her.
Yeah, and then we all fucked her. But then I think that was interesting that they kept saying copulation. They kept saying fucking at that point because that's what we would understand as our species. But they're really not. And so they always tease that incestual orgy, all that, but it was beyond that by the time you unravel that full onion.
Right.
These guys are literally absorbing you through the ass.
Yeah.
Through your ass, out your eyeballs, pop the eyeballs out.
How cool was that as like a as like a structured thing? Because it's like, definitely the whatever he is, the sort of bully in the school. I can't remember his name. As he was like fighting Bill at the end there, like, he's clearly way stronger, and but like
throwing him across the room.
The only time he became vulnerable was when he started to shunt Billy and like started to jellify, and then Billy could like go through and like tear him apart and turn him inside out.
It was almost like his body went back to being real malleable, and he could go right. That's a great point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then exactly. That was when he got the lips thing, which I think that's a great image.
It was kind of like very Beetlejuice almost when he was like
very much so. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it also reminds me of like Twilight Zone. That whole ending when they were like, especially the judge, like walking around, he's got like this weird mouth.
Oh no, that was the
stuff.
therapist. He had like the Joker face on.
Yeah,
that was really odd. It was like right after
so
Batman,
weird.
Michael Keaton's Batman too. It's like they took the same prosthetic or something from the.
They had a leftover.
Throw
one,
the smile on him. Yeah.
Love that Joker.
Did you guys notice the statue of a dude sucking his own dick in the background?
Yes.
I do not understand why it was there.
He was shunting himself.
I think it was the bathroom where the sister was getting ready for prom or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was that weird, like, it was like a brass or bronze statue back there of like hands and feet in a weird place, and it looked like a guy was like bent over.
It's not subtle. Like
it's
it's as big as like the main character's torso in the frame. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a 3.5-foot statue in the bathroom.
Exactly.
Yeah, a little bit of a tease to what we're gonna see later with all like the contortionist bodies and such.
Right, when the sister and mom are one, and the dad's arms or whatever, all one glob monster.
Yeah, I like that they excuse themselves up to the bedroom, but like they just started the orgy. Like they were just more into orgying among
Exactly. We're gonna
themselves, I
shunt
guess.
each other for a bit, get warmed up, and then come shunt.
Like, but it was great.
But I did like that creature effect though. It was the hands and arms on the ground
Oh
as
my
feet,
God,
and then you had the mom's head
on top, and the daughter's head on the bottom.
torso, and however
Yep.
that worked.
Yeah.
Like thinking back, you're like, the makeup in this was awesome.
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
it was just it's kind of, I don't say it's on the level of sophistication as The Thing, but it's definitely on the level of insanity as The Thing on screen.
yeah.
Wow.
Screaming Mad George, man. He did, Big Trouble in Little China,
Classic,
Predator,
for sure.
like all Dream Warriors. Like he's done all these great effects. Very Cronenberg, very like this Dolly-esque nightmare fuel.
He understands the goo and the stretchy pulley stuff, and I think that's what's really successful in this movie is that pull. This movie, if it was done today, it would be a lot of CG, I'm sure.
Oh,
Maybe
my
not
God,
today.
yeah.
Maybe today they would actually do a lot of practical, because I guess this Toxic Avenger movie is all practical, and it's great. But
oh my God, that's awesome.
But I think that, they would really lose something without that gooiness, without that. It's very specific. It's KY jelly, right? We know what this shit is. It's Vaseline and KY, and it's like stuff that we know. We know how it feels. We know how it smells. We know how it drips. And so it really kind of brings you into these scenes, and it's just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's just great. I was really impressed with this movie, actually. I thought it was pretty great.
Also, the sort of living room during the main shunting thing, it just turns like extremely red, and
all
it's
the
like
lighting
smoky.
is red.
You're like, oh my God, like the whole thing is like so
There's
sweaty.
a shift
and
to red, like you can see it, because when they start it, when they first put that dog leash or whatever on Billy's head and when they
dog
get him
catcher,
down, it's bright as hell, right? The whole room is like it's almost
right.
like you're just like this big flat lighting, and then all of a sudden it becomes crimson by the end. It's all bloody and just awesome. I thought that was pretty cool. I really liked the movie. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. The mom, like the arms thing at the end, really reminded me of The Gate. Have you guys ever seen The Gate?
For sure.
It gave me like The Gate vibes.
Steven Dorff.
Yes, yeah. With the animation and everything.
It felt like stop motion, right? Or similar?
Right? It feels like stop motion. I feel like it was.
Yeah, on the full body shot, I think it was. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which creeps me the hell out. Stop motion itself just creeps me out, and especially in that, in horror.
Yes, it's when it's used right. It's like because it's unnatural. It's not moving,
Very much.
and it's like triggering our brains to be like, this is not human.
No, not at all.
But the friend in this, who's like kind of like, you see this character trope in this movie, but it's also in The Gate as well, where they're in Fright Night. All these 80s movies of like the friend that
Evil
kind
Ed.
of knows more. Yeah, like Evil Ed, and like. And then in The Gate, there's that friend who's like, if you play the record backwards,
With the
like
glasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like I love this trope of the 80s of like the main character is like weird shit's going on, but then there's a friend who knows more, and then some shit happens to him where like he can't help you the whole time,
That
and
kid
I love
gets
that.
fucked in this one. I really feel bad for him.
Wait,
Yeah.
you're talking about the shunting friend or the other friend who was like, hey, I'm your best friend.
There's two of
I
them.
put
There's
the voodoo doll and the sex doll in your
that
Jeep.
guy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
both of them, really, right? Like, I mean, there's Blancher, who, like, is the one who first comes to him.
Yeah.
But then there's the best friend who, like, follows him around and, like, kind of, like, is looking out for him, but kind of not. And there's the weird Neanderthal mom. I don't really understand.
Right. it was a very, like,
Yes.
almost divine, almost John Waters,
Yes.
character. You know what I mean?
For what reason, though? Was she the way that he got in? The friend got into the shunting at the end?
I
think so.
I thought we were gonna, have another like layer of the onion on the mom be peeled, but it was just nope. She was just very strange and very strong.
She does get a hit in, right? She saves something at one point, right?
She pulls the toupee off the cop.
Yeah.
She loves the hair, right? Like,
Yeah.
She just didn't fit in with any of the rest of the movie. I thought it was a really odd choice to have her in there.
Is she part of society? I think she
Is
right?
the mom of Clarissa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Clarissa's part of society, but it's not clear that Clarissa's mom is. I mean, she wasn't at the shunting party until she was, like, taken there by the best friend.
Yeah. A piece of me feels that, like, she, they talked about how they got this way because they breed out this high society thing, right? Like, so I was wondering if maybe the mom was bred from, like, there seems to be this sympathy thing in Clarissa's family.
Right.
Maybe she's half society or something.
That's what I'm thinking. She's like half society, half human being, and so therefore she's like weird and off, and like she's not part of society because she's like she's kind of ostracized.
Right.
And she doesn't like things aren't connecting right.
She's not totally one of them.
Yeah.
Because they have zero care for human life. Like, none of them could give a rat's ass about anything.
Right. Well, and they explicitly say, like, we're not like you at all. What are you talking about?
You're a different race from us, a different species, a different class. You're not one of us. You have to be born into society. Alien scum. No, we're not from outer space or anything like that. We have been here as long as you have. It's a matter of good breeding, really.
Yeah.
But I really love that idea. They keep using the phrase, like, you're going to contribute to society, or you're going to be a great contribution to society and all this stuff. And we think, when they're saying it at first, that they just mean, like, the
Society.
way we say it colloquially.
Yes.
Right. But it turns out, no, there's this other thing called society in this world, and in that society is the like shunting, and like the creepy upper class body horror creep monsters. Like, oh, there's going to be an internship for you in Washington.
Yeah.
And
looks like we got that
opening.
internship opening.
But that goes back to my like absolute confusion as far as like what is society doing with these people? Like, because it's like they're not like wearing their skin as suits and like going into places.
But I think they can take and choose what they want, right? Because the guy, a birthmark or a beauty mark, and he's like, now I've got one.
Exactly. I mean, they're absorbing them. They're like,
so they can like pick and choose what they want to, display of their finds. I think.
I wish we would have seen more of that. Like, I wish we would have seen like 2 of the dads, or like,
right?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's a really good point. Yeah, that'd have been really fun.
And it would have been really fun, and it would have clarified a little bit of like how they move about in the world.
Or seeing one of them like move off of one another, and like you could see like how they.
Yes.
Because one of my notes was, is it one organism? Ultimately, is it one hive-minded organism that's just kind of branched out? Kind of like the Thing. Very much like the Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it doesn't resemble anything that we recognize as human. So it's like, it can kind of like be any of that stuff. I mean, it's maybe it's all one thing. It operates like one thing. It's a
hive mind.
I mean, in the metaphor, it is a class that's in solidarity and eats the other class, and that's like part of the whole commentary. But I think that in the fact that they all think the same and they're all a part of this and don't see it the way we as the audience are seeing it or whatever, also kind of helps maintain the sort of like alien quality of it all.
Yeah.
But not 100%. From outer space. They
not
make
from
a
outer
point
space.
of that, right?
We've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if they were like part of the Earth being, created, if they were
right.
From
I was
the
about to say that they're kind of like the stuff, right? It's like they're coming.
Yes.
They're
out
kind
of
of like
the Earth in the way.
The creature, except from being outer space, but from Horror Express, like here way before we were here, and doing their thing way before us. Yeah, I think that's a really cool story.
Yeah, love that. I also love. He's like, "Let me give you a hand." And he turns into the hand thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
giant
right.
hand.
Like he extends like a super long rubbery arm. That's making that same symbol, but also out of the neck comes a giant hand making that symbol. Yeah.
Like I love that. Like, it ties into what you were just saying, Jeremy. Of like, they're not people and they're not like human like at all. So like, turning a head into a hand like doesn't mean anything to them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the same as having a head as a head that we would see it, but like to them,
just another shape.
Yeah, another shape. Exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, very much like the Thing, I guess, in that sense.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It just takes on the form. Doesn't really need that stuff. Right. It doesn't need a head because it's thinking through something completely different. There's not a brain there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye, David.
One other quick thing I think on Society, I don't know, I kept getting these vibes. So this is, 1989, and what was interesting was that the main character, Billy Warlock, Bill Whitney in the movie, I kept getting a a certain vibe from him, which is that like, so he's got the oversized suit jacket on,
Yeah.
and the suit that's like too big for him.
I think you're gonna say what I was gonna say.
He's got his like hand in his pocket. He's like wildly gesticulating. He's got kind of a husky whisper voice when his voice cracks, and he says butthead a lot. So I was getting like Uncle Joey playing Marty McFly with this guy.
It's strange that Martin Petrie isn't here. No, please. David Blanchard's death was no accident. David Blanchard tried to tell me about the society that kills to keep its existence a secret. Martin Petrie tried to tell me about this society, but they got to him before I did. I saw Petrie last night in Franklin Canyon, murdered.
There's a lot of like Back to the Future. It
So
feels
much.
like maybe it was unconscious. I don't know, but it was definitely coming through. I mean, like I don't know what to say. Like the guy's voice is the guy's voice, but it sounded so much like Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I kept the whole movie. I was watching it with my girlfriend and Dustin, with my co-writer.
Yeah.
And I kept saying it over and over again. I was like, this guy is like Michael J. Fox. This is Michael J. Fox in a fucking Stuart Gordon movie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If Marty McFly had more of a horrifying...
If he went to Miskatonic University or something.
Yeah,
That's where he met Doc Brown, who was raising the dead.
Doc Brown was using non-Euclidean geometry or whatever to like make these things.
Creating the color out of space.
Yeah.
Yes, there it is.
Should we go from the rich elite of gooiness to the rich elite of Satanism with Satanic Panic?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, my neighbor is a Satanist. He's just a vegan.
Welcome to the world behind the world here of Satanic Panic. I've been meaning to see this one, and I'm glad I did. I got to say, first and foremost, that Rebecca Romijn is awesome in this movie, and she really brought it. She was definitely my Mo in this movie in terms of stealing the show.
Fun.
Yeah,
I loved. I don't know the actress's name, but the one who had the like turban.
Yes,
hilarious.
Gypsy is her character name.
Gypsy,
yeah.
Arden Mirren, I think.
That's correct. Yeah,
she was my Moriarty. Oh my God, so funny. So funny.
Yeah, she was
Her
great.
deliveries were fantastic. I thought she also stole it. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like Missy Pyle adjacent. Like
I think while we're talking about scene stealing, Jerry O'Connell's in one scene, and he was really hilarious.
I was shocked.
I wasn't expecting the rapist part of him, but
right.
It was actually
to
for
save
her safe.
soul,
Yeah, to save
which
her.
Is a weird commentary.
Yeah. I mean, because when it comes to black magic, it's strictly Dickly, guys.
Oh my God, the dialogue.
That was funny. Yeah, there are some funny lines in this. Yeah.
No, but I speaking of that, I mean, and it's obviously being done on purpose, and there's a commentary here, but like Sam, the pizza delivery gal, comes in and like gets asked a couple times if she's a virgin. She's like, "That's a personal question," and everyone's like, "Virgin."
Yes.
And then, like, he's like, no, listen, I either need to kill you or we need to have sex so that you're not a virgin and you can't bring Baphomet here.
Stop fighting me here. I'm trying to save you. I'm gonna save you, whether you like it or not.
And, he's like going for it and she doesn't want it. And obviously, so it turns into this rape scene and like, he like is trying to subdue her and he slaps her across the face and he's like,
look at what you made me do. I'm a feminist.
Yeah, as he rips her shirt open.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
a feminist.
It's like I love the juxtaposition of like what he's saying and what he's doing or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
fun little commentary.
Obviously, not a feminist.
Yes, yeah. I do not understand Jerry O'Connell's character in the movie at all.
How he obviously is Rebecca Romijn's husband, but he's not really like important to her by any means, right? I mean, this completely expendable.
And she was gonna kill him, and he didn't like being the second banana, or he
wasn't into it.
Wasn't into it because of what his role was going to be, which is just sacrificial, so she can pull his heart out and bake a souffle out of it,
turn him into a Haxan cloak.
Yeah, but then he's like locked in a room, but he has a gun. So like, I could not figure out like, was he locked in the room? Was he just like a part of it? I just did not understand.
I was really confused. I was confused by a bit of stuff like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like most of this movie, I was like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm just going to enjoy the ride.
It's a little uneven, but, I think that there's some pretty fun Wiccan stuff in it. The Haxan cloak being one of them I thought was really interesting.
Love
But
that.
I really like the girl that they kept teasing. The little girl who was kind of had this Nightmare on
she's
Elm
so
Street
great.
vibe to it. And then all of a sudden she became a even higher demon than Baphomet. So all of a sudden
Yes.
she
Oh,
could control everything. Sam Azael is her name?
Yeah, as
Another Sam.
Yes, Sam is on the Vespa, like taking the pizzas in. She like sees this creepy
Yeah.
girl
Just
waving.
little-
It's like,
little
that's-
teases of her.
She's
right,
in the
right,
opening
right.
credits as well.
Yeah,
Right.
there were some really cool pieces in this. I just don't think in full execution it was all successful. I think it was because it was lit too brightly, to be honest, and too flatly. I think it was missing a lot of the drama of the horror and suspense because of that.
And I think that's because if you look at it, this movie's like listed as comedy first, and so I think they're trying to light it broad as like a comedy. And obviously, like there's so much comedy throughout it. Like we're
Right,
cracking up talking about it right now.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's why, but yeah, I think that there's just a little bit of where the two tones didn't necessarily work in tandem, but rather separately.
I think that's exactly what it was. And I also think that they could have just got right to the rich people's home. I think they could have got right to the, what are they, the Whitneys? No, that was the other movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, they could have got right there, and I think we would have understood. She's broke, she's in the gig economy, like you said, and so she's trying to make that happen. And I think we understood that. But other than that, there was some pretty cool things in it. I loved the daughter. I thought she was really fun, and she got her ass handed to her at some points, but she made it. I thought that was fun.
Yeah,
and the spells that she was under and things. You were talking about the things coming out of her mouth and how she had to keep dispelling herself. If you will.
Yeah. With, like,
was really
writing on
interesting.
Oh, but she doesn't make it though. Actually,
No, she doesn't make
I
it.
just remembered. Yeah, she doesn't make it though. She gets her neck slit.
Damn it.
She makes it pretty far, but not all the
she
way.
She fights. Yeah. Okay.
Which is like one of the most random scenes in cinema. Like she gets her courage. The delivery girl gets her courage to break free because she like has rage because she spots the guy who didn't tip her. So then she like breaks her fucking chains because she's like, "You fucking asshole," and like gets a knife and she's like, "I'm gonna kill this baby."
That's the righteous class rage that the film was commenting on there.
Yeah, and then she's like, "I'm gonna kill the baby. Like, let us go." And then they just kill the daughter anyway. And then she drops the knife, and then they just tie her back down, and so she's right back where she was.
Right.
It's as if you could literally cut out that entire piece of the movie, and it would be the exact same movie.
Yeah.
Like, what was the purpose?
Well, almost, but like unlike the way that these Satanists operate, and everyone else that we've kind of seen who's out for themselves, including her quote boyfriend, the guy who got her the job, like. Sam operates differently, right? She tries to help people, and she's a human being, and she's trying to be a better person, as she explained with her, heartbreaking backstory speech about, not being there for her friend the way he was for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's kind of come over to recognize what to value, and to her, the Judy character was, had saved her and vice versa, and wanted to try and cut her free. And she could have perhaps, she broke the chain. She could have escaped and probably run away, but she stayed to try and save Judy, and it was all in vain. But, it was something that perhaps another character in that situation wouldn't have done. They would have just run away, right?
Yeah. But why didn't she use the knife and stab the baby? Like, she had the leverage, and then, the Judy gets her neck slit, and then she just drops the knife and then lets them,
Well, out of horror with the with what she just saw with her friend dying that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but, I think, what was it? It was just maybe a detail or two about the impact that Judy's death had on her, and then she drops the knife over it.
And because that's why she has to revert back to her mantra, right? Fuzzy bunnies. And
Fuzzy
that's
bunnies.
when
Two
she
fuzzy
actually
bunnies.
she actually has 2 fuzzy bunnies, right? Instead of Baphomet, it totally fucks the spell. Isn't that when that happens? Yeah.
Yeah. That's where she uses the Code of Sam's.
What about Code of the Sams? Samsel? Sam. I mean, you have to help me. It's the rule.
He made that up.
And then like Baphomet eats the bunny.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Like how that led into it, because the bunnies like got Sam Mizale, right? The demon girl, the little the Nightmare on Elm Street girl, got her interested in things, right? Because there's 2 fuzzy bunnies now to hang out with, right? And all of a sudden that was her connection, and then everything went to like this limbo, right?
Yeah,
like
I loved that element.
Yeah, that was really great.
Everyone's gone.
I thought that was great. I love how, like the sort of break in the salt there is what allowed that to happen. And like, just as like a story structure thing, like you forgot that when Gypsy had fallen down and was dying, like that was so much shit had happened in between her dying and like the limbo scene, like you're saying. You'd kind of forgotten about that. And you're like, oh no, everything's fucked. And you're like, oh wait, there was the break in the salt there, and that allowed in this other Samwise Gamgee or whatever the thing was called. And like, and then allowed the Code of the Sams and all this, which also is part of the reason I think you see the early delivery montage. It's like not only is it kind of funny and like demeaning all the stuff that she had to do leading up to this, but like she's running out of gas and she gets to this place and the guy has a 5 pizza $180 order or whatever, and it has a zero
tip.
Like makes a big deal about putting a zero
with the
tip
slash
part.
Exactly. Yeah. Are you sure you wanted to write 0 there, sir?
It's like, yes.
Look, if everybody just gave me a quarter, that'd be like $10.
But I mean, I was fine with the montage stuff. I think that's where you start the movie, right? Is to see this like every time she's getting boned on these tips
set up
time, and then you could go right to the house. Like I think it would be a nice little ramp into the house.
Well, the reason they came back, and this may be just the way they filmed it, that they should have put this earlier, but like the reason they came back was to set up that her guy who keeps calling himself her boyfriend. Was
Guts McGee there,
doing the thing where like he puts his arm up so that she can't get past him or whatever, and he's talking to her about making plans later, like you got to come over to my place and do this that, and
I got you the job.
I got you the job. What more do you want?
Come on by, yeah.
And then so then you don't feel quite as bad as his guts are being ripped out of his mouth.
I thought that was awesome.
Slowly,
yeah,
with practical effects.
That part was great. I love the pulling his guts out. Like it's complete bullshit of how to get him to come over, but like, man, is it worth it? At least
I've got an 8-ball of cocaine and I'm horny.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but like my phone rings pretty much once a week and someone's just calling, telling me that they're horny and ready for me, and I just come on over there, dude.
Yeah.
I don't expect any poison that's gonna pull out all of my guts, every bit of my small and large intestine.
Yeah, but when Rebecca Romaine opens the door, you're like,
okay,
well, what's the worst that could happen?
That's true. Yeah.
This. She
right
could,
here. This is it. Yeah.
She could be the actual Danica Ross, and she will sacrifice you to Satan.
One of the parts I also didn't understand, we were talking about the salt,
Yeah.
So like when they're at the house, they like pour salt on all the windowsills.
Any entrance.
And then we come in on like one of the windows, and you see that the window is cracked, and like something like the spirit thing, like blows the
I thought it was just wind
salt out of the way.
I think that what you're saying is like the film kind of misleads you into thinking it's a spirit, because we're hearing a like woo sound.
But I think it's wind,
right?
It's
supposed to be. I think what it was supposed to be was just that. The wind was like it
was just a mistake,
blowing a piece through it, which allowed in the sort of sheet demon thing or whatever.
Hex and cloak.
Aren't we already seeing the like Evil Dead POV out the windows during all of that sequence?
Yeah, that's I think where there is that like
the wind's POV.
Misleading, but you're right. Like the demon shouldn't be able to interact with it because they have to count every individual piece.
That's
right?
my thing.
That's what they said.
So it must be wind.
So the demon was. I feel like the demon was looking, and it was supposed to be wind. It's just the way that things happened in sequence. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, we see demon POV, we see salt blowing. That makes sense.
You know what it was too? It was the fact that it was all one shot.
Yeah.
Where the salt gets blown through. Like if we would see like a piece of it, then see the demon going through different windows,
Yeah.
then cut back to the girls, and then see another piece being blown away. Like, you know, you'd get the idea that it's just the wind doing this, which allows this to happen.
Well, yeah, like what's the point of the misleading? Because like the mislead breaks the rules.
Well, I think it was done on. I think the misleading part was on accident. Like they didn't mean to do it that way.
I think the great way to do that would be to have the POV of the demon actually come to the window, see the salt, and then have to stare at the salt. You know what I mean? And it just has to look at the salt the whole time.
Right.
But then you would have
And
to
it's like,
break that up
"Damn
a
it."
bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4.
Oh no, I've lost count.
Yeah. They do that in What We Do in the Shadows in the series because the
That's so
vampires also
funny.
have to do that. Yeah. They're like, it doesn't work on us. It doesn't work on us. And all of a sudden they do it and they're like, yeah, well, it's never going to work on us. It's like 1, 2, 3. 4. So
I was gonna
funny.
say that whole thing's lifted from like I forgot what it's Japanese vampires I think, and they have to count grains
the
of
floating
rice.
ones, the flying ones, or
The flying heads, or I think they're called jumping vampires.
jumping. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But yeah, they have to count like every grain of rice.
Same exact thing. It's that same. Yeah, it's salt, rice. Yeah, the grains. You need to count individually.
The grains.
1, 2. That would suck.
Well, how much did you guys appreciate for a 2019 movie? How many practical effects?
Oh
we
my
were
god,
seeing
that
in
was
this
the
one?
best part of the movie.
We even had a tree-like Evil Dead thing
Yeah.
monster that
so
came out of
fun.
nowhere. Yeah, it was kind of gone a little early for my taste. I was hoping to see a little action, but it was great. It looked awesome.
Yeah, she just shoots it in the head like it's a human being or something, and it dies. That works.
Write that
That's
one
good.
out. Yeah, done. It's pretty easy writing.
Next obstacle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Bring on more salt demons. Yeah.
What the hell was the meatloaf monster? Like, they pull it out of Jerry O'Connell. They bake it at like
Trivets.
they bake it for 450 degrees with the black peppercorn, and then she feeds it like it's Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
Exactly.
Yeah, a little drop of
Feed
blood
me,
from the
Seymour.
finger.
Yeah.
And then it flies out into the night.
I know.
like-
I love how this like cervix mouth that comes out of the heart
Yeah.
of this baked souffle. Yeah.
Clearly vagina ventata.
Yeah.
But it was huge, right? Like he had like a gigantic heart.
It grew. It like when he pulls it out,
Well,
it's like this
it
big.
it expanded. You know, they used some yeast, and then it kind of it was
Cultured
arisen, yeah.
bacteria,
Yeah.
right? The living
Yeah.
things that we eat normally. Yeah, right. There's yeast in your bread. It's alive.
So the meatloaf monster flies off into the night and then becomes the bed sheet.
I thought so. Or at least it's like under the bed sheet.
Know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do not understand it.
I'm also a little confused on how all that worked, but I liked
But I
that.
loved it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I was forgiving all that but I was hoping to get a little Jerry O'Connell personality out of that
Me too.
monster. You know, like all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's a smart ass too,
Yeah.
or a rapist.
Yeah.
You know, a feminist
Yes.
rapist.
Feminist rapist.
That would have been so funny if it was the bed sheet and it's attacking her and it's still
Yeah.
apologizing.
Yeah.
Like, while
Yes.
it's-
Look what
No,
you're
no,
making me do. Look what you're making me do. You know? Yeah.
I'm not even
That'd be-
alive anymore and I still have to do this.
Slapping her. Yeah, that'd be really funny. That'd be really funny. Yeah.
I love Jerry's line of they're going to render my fat for candles.
Candles.
That was
Yeah.
so fucking funny, dude. Sorry, not to get off topic.
Also, like his I tried to shoot you and it didn't work. Let me see. Check down the barrel of this thing, and then he blows his head off or blows his neck off. I don't know.
Yeah, another good practical, right? Like some squirty stuff,
was
and then
great,
they
yeah.
stuck on that. Like they were not afraid of showing that gore and
Oh,
just
yeah.
that
Like she was
blood running.
elbow deep in his neck or whatever. Like, where's that heart? Yeah.
Did that not
Yeah.
give the Danica being the most evil thing ever? So now I have a
cool.
question about that. She not only was that evil, right, but she also was immortal. Because
Yeah, she could
Gypsy
do
takes
whatever.
her out at one point, right? Or one of
Her
the friends
friend.
of Gypsy, right? Gypsy's,
Yeah.
keeping her
Kim,
busy.
I think it is.
Well,
Yeah.
she was on the floor doing little chants or something to bring her back to life. I guess is what she was doing. I think.
Got it. Okay, so they brought her back, but she.
Yeah.
Oh wait, they brought her back. I missed.
I
that.
thought she just
No,
came
no.
back.
Sorry.
yeah.
Danica was on the floor after being stabbed in the head, and before she wakes up, I think we see her doing little chants or whatever. Like that she was disabled but not completely dead.
She wasn't dead.
She was
I
mostly
see.
dead, not completely dead. Mostly dead.
Mostly dead?
Yeah.
Your friend here is only mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Please open his mouth.
That was the only effect I think in the movie that like in a movie full of like these really awesome practical effects. I think the like pulling the thing out of her head was like I don't know. They must have ran out of money. It was like very, very clearly just
like behind
between,
her head, yeah.
between her head and the pillow, and they just poofed her hair up. Because even when she like lifts her head to start doing it, it like wiggles out. It's the only shot though where I'm like, I know how you did that. The rest of it, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up some of that, like the strap-on dildo. I thought was a
Dude,
really
yeah,
awesome.
How have we not talked about
the
that?
kildo.
Fucking kildo.
But from like think about this from like a writing standpoint. I mean, it's a really great sequence. You know, you see that not only is the daughter going to get killed, she's going to get killed by a kildo, and it's this giant thing. That kildo then comes out, actually kills another one of the people, then going into the wall to electrocute them both. I'm like, boom, that was really, really tight.
Also, what was funny about, like, you know, when she accidentally stabbed her friend in the hallway, her friend, like, as the drill keeps turning, like, the friend keeps getting closer to her. Because
that's what I was saying. She's getting drilled in.
On the screwdriver, like, yeah, exactly. It's so
like,
cool.
You have to love the, you know, like, getting drilled is like a fucking innuendo for getting fucked.
Exactly,
right.
I just, like, love the double entendre of it or whatever.
It's very, very, very in your face, but I was all about that, you know?
What's funny is that the first time I saw this was in the theater. I think it was maybe part of Beyond Fest or something. It was at the Egyptian, and this is shortly before you know, COVID shut everything down. Because I think it came out like at the very end of 2019, and Alyssa and I just went out to see it on Impulse, and we saw it in the Egyptian. It was pretty packed, and as it turns out later, another friend of the show, Luce Tomlin Brenner, we were talking about this movie, and she mentioned how she was at that screening, so we happened to have seen it together, which is an interesting coincidence. But also the person who sat down next to me in this theater was Mick Garris. Strangely enough.
Way,
hell yeah,
dude. Postmortem podcast shout out there.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, director of The Stand and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
The Shining.
Anyway, what did I say was like the Kildo scene, like the Jerry O'Connell killing himself, like, you know, there's all these moments where like it played so well with the crowd, like everyone was laughing and you know, having a great time watching it. I mean, it was like, it was one of those things where you came out of it, you're like, oh, that was gross and you know, very strange, and maybe going to Australia wasn't the most satisfying part of the ending, but you know, all the experience overall, like, you know, you had so much fun watching it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, like, you know, maybe watching it at home, it doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah, but I think that those scenes had that same impact on me. 100%. I mean, I brought that up specifically. I thought the Kildo scene was fucking awesome. I was like, this is out of nowhere, and it really kind of drives along sort of like society, that idea that rich people have basically everything, and so they're gonna have some shit like that they're not gonna just butcher you. They're gonna fucking kill rape you. Yeah, they're gonna fuck you to death.
And that was like literally her choice. Like she was like, what's his name? Who's so fucking good? The handlebar mustache.
Oh, the guy's our kid was dead too.
Yeah, he's in the Rob Zombie Monsters movie.
Exactly.
He was Herman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff Daniel Phillips.
Jeff Daniel Phillips. Thank you.
Yeah, he's
Jeff Daniel
great.
Phillips is a joy.
He is fantastic. Yeah, I agree.
He's great in every scene, but he even says, he's like, they were just so excited to kill her. And so like, so then that implies that like his daughter's like idea was like, I could kill her any way I want, but I'm going to like make or buy this giant fuck drill and fuck her to death.
And that's what I mean. They had the money to do so. So they're like, what do you want to do, honey? How do you want to do it this time? You know? A drill toe. Okay, you got it.
Also, the beginning of that scene too is really funny because it's like these like little like I don't know 8-year-olds or whatever. And they're watching like some really fucked up shit on TV. Like,
Some fucked
and like
up
Sam's
shit.
like, should you be watching that?
Is it the thing?
And they're like dead expressions like watching it. I don't know what it was, but there was like
I
there was
think
two
they
women and one of them
filmed
like
it.
put a gun in the other one's mouth
And
like
shot her.
Yeah, and then like we cut away to the kids like not reacting as like the head's being blown off.
Yeah. And then like I didn't realize that it was soda in the glass, so I thought it was like wine.
I thought
and
so too. Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, okay. So the kid's like stealing the alcohol. I was like, that's like a classic trope.
Oh, I got the poison right away on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever that was. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't realize that it was.
No, he didn't realize what the liquid
soda.
was. He thought it was wine.
Like like the concept of a kid not being allowed to have like a glass of pop and then like like stealing it was so weird to me. Like,
I haven't heard someone call it pop in about 12 years, man. Thank you.
Listen, he thought he was in familiar
life.
territory here.
You are in familiar territory. I
Midwesterners.
feel great about this. Thank you. It's
Save
pop.
space for pop here.
Soda's
There's a glass
water.
of pop.
Soda is carbonated water.
Yeah, it's carbonated water. Exactly.
That's exactly it.
It's
Yeah,
seltzer.
yeah.
Yeah, that's seltzer water.
You're not having a gin with pop, you know.
Can I have a rum and pop?
Yeah. But yeah, I love the dynamics. I love the community element. Obviously, there's this great theme of these societies, these groups among all these movies.
Well, I think that brings up the point, you know, like some of the connections between these two. I think Satanic Panic and Society are the most connected in terms of structure and format, both taking place in that rich, behind the gate, exclusive neighborhood.
Yeah.
The beginnings both take place in that first-person perspective. In Satanic Panic, we also get that Suspiria Halloween, giallo type opening.
Yeah, very giallo.
We have exactly. We have the two families, the Rosses and the Whitneys, and those are kind of running the show behind the scenes, or at least in this weird world. So I think in ways, you know, the stuff is kind of the oddball out, but I think that they all take a look at the society around them for the time that they were presented in a really interesting way, and each of them are very unique in how they do it. So all over, I think we really nailed the society horror aspect of this block. I think we did a good job with that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Now, as I understand it, there is a certified check waiting for me with my name on it.
I think the gentleman there.
Oh, yes, look at that. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's good enough for starters.
We should rate the movies, I think, because this is a fun one. Aaron, do you mind telling us, like, from one being your favorite of these three, could you rate them 1 through 3?
Okay, yeah, put them in order.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 being my favorite.
Yeah.
Man, okay.
Yeah,
So
it's tough.
It's tough. I'd
really
have to
tough.
say I like The Stuff the best.
Wow.
Which is,
Yes.
I know, a shock.
No.
I just,
Yeah.
I love the practical effects element of it so much. And it's so, like, I forgive everything else about it because I'm just loving, like, how insane it is. And Michael Moriarty is fucking wild.
Plus, it does a lot. It does a lot with nothing, right? Like,
Yeah.
with no money. I mean, yeah.
Mhm. And plus, it's like, you know, it's so much like reminiscent of The Blob. You know, it's got this feeling of, it's like, it's the 80s version of The Blob that's not the remake.
Right. That's not the 80s version of The Blob. Yeah.
Exactly. And it does like
Well, it's the
whole-
80s version of the Blob before the 80s version of
Right.
the Blob.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
This was like
true.
the
That's true.
First draft. Yeah.
And like I think that it does more with The Blob as far as like talking about our addiction to consumerism and capitalism and everything. So
Yeah.
I like that a lot. So I would do that as 1, and then I would do Society as 2 because again, like I think Society actually works as a great movie. It just like you just need to like you'd have to like tweak up the first half, but like once it gets to the shit, it's like holy fuck. And I'm such an addict for like I've never seen anything like that before. So
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
And then I'd put Satanic Panic as 3 as just because like I still had a lot of fun watching it, but it was the one I was the least into.
Same. Yeah. I actually agree with that 100%. Jeremy?
That order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about it while you're talking. I'd go Society number 1. I do really like how, you know, it starts off so slow and it's like it's very unclear as to whether or not this is just happening in his head. And I think that kind of remains throughout the whole thing. You know, to me, the part that sort of like, you know, Aaron, the way you were talking about the stuff with the quarry scene, to me, that was like the hospital scene in Society, where it's like, I'm starting to lose the plot here a little bit. Like, what's going on? Is he, you know, evil now? Did they change him in there?
That's what I was trying to figure out. Like, when he phased through the
because he was acting too cool, right? He was like, everything's fine, everybody.
A piece of me was like, oh, is he like part of this? He's one of them, but yet he's like anti-them?
Yeah, exactly. They put the spell on him or whatever.
Yeah, he got society'd, yeah.
But no, it was just that he had like stopped giving a fuck. Maybe that was part of it.
Yeah, that part also, that really quick, is also like one of the, I laughed out loud because he's like comes out of the hospital and his friend's there, you know, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, you're dead, da da da. And then he just like gets into his Jeep and he's like, come on. And then he drives off without him. And I was like, oh, okay. So then they drive over to like someone's house. I don't remember whose. And he like goes inside, has a whole scene, comes back outside. Clarissa's house. Comes back outside right when the friend is arriving. And he's like, where are we going? What's the plan? And then the main character hops into the car and goes, plan? And then drives off again. So it's the same thing twice in a row. And like, I just...
Yeah, we just had this scene. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah. So anyway, I think Society would be number one for me, and then maybe Satanic Panic, just because, you know, I had such fun time with it, both in the theater and then I mean even the second time I was still laughing at a bunch of stuff, and then this stuff I you know all you know, none of them were particularly bad.
No, not at all. Yeah, I thought they were all great.
But I you know I love the sort of charming way that the stuff you know, kind of like has all its you know, seams showing, that kind of thing. It's very endearing, and the movie's like very funny, so you know, like you just roll with that stuff really easily. But
exactly, that's the thing, you embrace it, which I think is kind of like a benefit for all these 80s. Like the 80s was so full of extremism and like wild shit, and like, you know, people were able to like make money off of video rentals, and so like studios were willing to like, and independent studios were able to like take these big swings on these crazy fucking movies.
It's called cocaine. It's called a lot of drugs.
A lot of party, you know.
That's like a Rebecca Romaine offering that guy some coke, and he's like, oh, more?
Biggest
okay.
bumps ever.
Yeah, exactly. Where'd you get those key bumps, man?
I think you can stack it a little higher. Higher.
I'd be scared of those things, man. I do agree that I think the stuff is my favorite one, and I think that it's mostly from a nostalgia standpoint for me because I've seen that movie so much, and that was one that I watched as a kid. But I thought Society was definitely a number two for me. I think that that's now one of my new favorites that I am going to try to pick apart a couple more times.
You can share with your sister-in-law.
Yeah, she did not like that one at all, so I felt a little bad about that, but I think that's what made the movie work. Plus, that movie made me feel as sticky and gooey as the people that were on screen, so I think that, you know, that was successful. Yeah, I thought that Satanic Panic didn't really stick with me as much, but I thought that there was some really cool moments in it that made it fun, and I could see how those moments in a theater would be rad, especially the Kildo.
Yeah.
Like, Kildo, Jerry O'Connell, and then, you know, the Coke gutting, I think would be amazing to see with the crowd.
Yes.
Yeah,
Satanic Panic also, I was just thinking about it, not to like keep going back to this, but it also reminds me of like movies like Rubber and like Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yeah.
It's these like
fringy ones.
Yeah, they're like made modern, but they're in the vein of these like 80s or like almost 70s-esque sometimes, like Grindhouse
exploitations. Yeah.
100% exploitation films. Yeah.
Well, and maybe that quality, to go back to something, Brian, I think you brought up, like, you know, how, okay, yeah, it is sort of, it was leading foot first with the comedy, but perhaps because stylistically it was playing so much in the horror world, maybe they should have gone more for the darker look, which is kind of what you're your complaint there was, Brian, where it was like a little too bright, a little too
constructive
maybe
criticism.
sitcom-y looking. Yeah,
It was constructively
Of course.
criticizing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, you look at like Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, like that's a horror comedy that I think really works. And
in the brightness.
Yeah, and the color palette I think does a lot of that for you, and they just they when they do a horror scene, they like really lean into it in that movie. And then when they're doing a comedy, it's like a much lighter
They keep killing
tone.
themselves.
I just think that Satanic Panic would have
College
benefited even more from not just the lighting either, but like society went for those harsh Dutch angles when things would go
Yes.
awry, and when you know Billy would come into the house and Clarissa's house, all of a sudden the camera was down on the ground looking up, you know. And I think that Satanic Panic was missing a lot of those harsh tilts that really kind of drive that unease in a horror film.
Yeah. But I like totally see the I think you're right, Jeremy, where like certain movies like thrive in an audience energy. Like you need that
Sure.
energy.
Oh, for
and
sure.
like that's exactly like Rubber, Hobo with a Shotgun, Satanic Panic. Like they thrive on that like, you know, fucking Friday night, Saturday night,
Midnight
like,
movie
and
crowd.
midnight movie.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
so I like I said earlier, I went with Alyssa, and you know she's not a huge. Oh, she you know is really not into horror movies. You know, mostly because it's like you know, she always puts it as like she gets too scared at them.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we both left feeling like we had a really great time, and it's because of that whole audience experience and all that.
Yeah.
And just the sort of like the whole room's laughing. It's like the way you leave a comedy club or something.
Yeah, I would definitely classify that movie as fun versus scary.
Yeah.
And I would
Yes.
say that it's definitely a ride versus,
fun
a
and
haunted
gross.
house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My mom and her butt buddies are booty calling Baphomet. If they find us, they're not going to kill us. They're going to do shit that you can't comprehend.
Wait, why am I even listening to you? You're one of them.
That's the first smart thing you've said today.
Aaron, thanks so much for joining us today. If anyone listening out there would like to follow you, how could they do so, and what do you have going on?
Cool. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. My tags are at Aaron Sauerland. It's just literally my first name and last name. Give me a follow. You know, if you love horror stuff, you like movie stuff. Also, I have my own podcast. It's called Campfire Stories Podcast. Every episode, we have a different person from a different part of the USA come on and recount a piece of folklore or urban legend or ghost story from their hometown.
Okay.
And it's a spooky, fun time. We've got an anniversary episode hitting on Halloween, and just if you're into that kind of thing, you know, that's where it's at. Campfire Stories Podcast.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Oh, for sure. No, it was a pleasure. Love talking horror.
Absolutely.
Love talking any movies, and especially with a fellow horror nerd, it makes it better. And especially because these are all films that, or at least there was Society was the first one that we've all seen together for the first time. So it was like, oh
Right.
shit, yes, we all got shunted at the same time,
As they say.
as the Society says.
You know that common that old saw.
Yeah, those who shunt together.
The master of the hunt, the champion of the shunt, Ted the tycoon, Ferguson.
All right, next time on the show, we'll be bringing back one of our favorite shows, the Horror Anthology, for a Horror Anthology 401 discussion. We're going to be talking Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. I've never heard of this one. Trilogy of Terror, one from my childhood that I absolutely love, and VHS, one that I haven't caught yet that's a little more current, but not the very new VHS, the first VHS that came out. So,
Right.
What's Dr. Terror's House of Horrors?
So Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, it is a Freddie Francis directed British horror anthology. It's the one I think he did right before Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Hell
and
yeah.
it should be exciting. I hadn't heard of it at all either. Michael, my brother, the friend of the podcast, also, you know, he recommended that one, or at least talked about it at one point, and I was like, okay, well, we have to check that out. I haven't seen any of these, so we'll see where it takes us.
Thanks so much for listening. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us on all the podcasts and social platforms at the Grindhouse Institute. And if you really want to give us a boost, check us out on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps us to get noticed. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back next time.
Ciao.
You know, Mr.
Rutherford, Mo Rutherford. You know why they call me Mo?
No, why?
Because every time people give me money, I always want Mo.
Well, you know, Mr. Rutherford?
Yes, sir?
I don't think you're quite as dumb as you appear to be.
No one is as dumb as I appear to be.